Hey, good morning. This is Monday. This is the Space Junkie Takeover. I hope you are doing well on this fine Monday morning. How are you doing? How are you, David? I got David with me here, another fellow Space Junkie from Hungary. Hi, how are you?
Hello, Szabi. Hi, everyone. Yeah, we are back as always. Yeah, these Mondays are coming so quick. Just two blinking with eyes, and it's Monday again. So time flies
Yep.
by.
Time definitely is flying. Yeah, we are always here to summarize some of the things that's happening. Obviously, the best source for that always going to remain the Tuesdays and the Fridays from Felix. We're gonna show some of the elements from last Friday's show because he hinted quite a lot of things. The Hawkeye photographers, they took some really nice photographs from the Y family, just like from the community. So we're gonna show some photos from Starship Gazers, some of them from RGV Aerial, and some of them from NASA Spaceflight. So we are trying to bring you a really tip-top coverage today. So I think without further ado, I don't know if we got a live camera from Starbase. No, from Messi's. Sorry, it's all gonna be about Starbase. If we do have, then let's show it. In the meantime, I am going to show you a photograph of from our camera Y camera gallery. That's Booster 17 because Booster 17 just appeared. I think for the first time, right?
Yes. So that's the first round of the testing for this booster. And
Have we seen this before? Have they ever
what do you mean?
rolled it out, or this is the
No,
first time?
that,
Or
that's
it
the
was
very
start-
first. That's the first round of the cryogenic proof tests of it. So
and that's sorry to keep interrupting you. That's 16 at the Rocket Garden.
no, 16 is in the Mega Bay one.
Is there anything in
Which
the
is in the
Rocket Garden?
it's the Rocket Garden. It's
There are two boosters, but I
yeah,
don't know
that's the
if
booster
the
12, I
one.
guess. That's the booster 12, which was caught first time in the history.
Mhm.
So yeah, there were two boosters in the Rocket Garden. The second one was the booster 15, but it was taken to the Mega Bay one. So actually, the Mega Bay one contains
That
currently
was
the booster
booster
15,
15.
16,
Okay.
and 18
So
as well.
just to avoid the confusion, so that's 15 on the right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
which has the cap, that's the 15, and which
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't have the cap is the 12 because it won't used anymore, won't be
Cool.
used anymore. And of course, our nice famous guy, the ship 20, which won't fly, of course, but we can be sure
Yeah.
about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
back to the messages. That's the booster 17, and maybe
Mhm.
that's the last Block 1 version of the super heavy boosters, so it's quite famous. And of course, we don't know which will be the flight when this booster will be used, but
Mhm.
if if um, if the pattern if the pattern continues, then maybe it will be used first on the flight 12. But yeah, of course we have to see, we'll see it. And yeah, currently what we know for sure, in case of the flight 9, so the booster 14-2 will be used, and maybe then on flight 10 will be used the booster 16, and maybe the flight 11 first stage will have the, I'm not sure. I'm just checking my notes. Maybe that will be the booster 15-2, and maybe the flight 12 will be the booster 17's first appearance. But it's only expectations, so of course the pattern can be totally different. But that's for sure that the first round of the cryogenic proof test was done, or were done. So as always, or what we could see last time in case of the boosters, first on the first test, the methane tank was filled with cryogenic nitrogen, so liquid nitrogen. And on the second test, they used, of course, nitrogen as well, but they filled the oxygen. I will use this all the time, oxygen, so liquid oxygen. Sorry. And yeah, that was these two tests so far. What was done with the booster 17, and maybe they will do this thrust pack or the thrust pack simulation tests as well. I'm not sure about it, but after they are finishing with this booster here, then they will roll it back to the Megabait one, and it will get its Raptors. That's for sure. But we have seen some other exciting things or details, and maybe it's hard to tell for the first sight. But what we can see, it's already proving that what kind of difference or what kind of improvements will be implemented in terms of the booster super heavy block 2 versions. So one of it will be instead of one QD, so quick disconnect adapter, there will be 2, and it means that they can fill or they can tank the boosters even faster. And of course we know that it's quite fast as well, because it's about 45 minutes currently, but with this improvement it will be less than tanking a Falcon 9. So just think about it a bit. So the super heavy itself, it's
Just
10 times.
Just think about it for a bit.
Yeah. So the super heavy booster is 10 times bigger as Falcon 9, and it will be tanking about 15 or maybe even less time, 15 minutes or even less time. So it's totally insane. And where Szabi drew this nice yellow arrows, yeah, thank you, that will be actually the 2 gantries already. And if we are just going down a bit on this photo, we can see the new platform which will be used for the Block 2 version booster cryogenic tests. And of course it's under construction, so it's not the exact design how it will look like, but until the first super heavy Block 2 will be introduced, until that time it will be finished as well, of course.
I think since the meme, the Block 2 are never gonna go away. If everybody knows what I mean.
I almost forgot it, but thanks for the reminder.
As long as they're not gonna go for the Block 3, I think Block 2 are never gonna go away. Yeah. All right. Anyway, right. I'm not entirely sure if there is any other stuff we need to talk about at Messi's. So we are going to turn our attention towards the production side, because there are some stuff that's going on in here. Some building and some demolition as well.
Yeah, they are destroying not one but 2 buildings in one time, or in parallel. So the poor high bay, and we can say already the late Stargate building, because it was totally destroyed in just 2 days or something like that.
So that's the Stargate building in the center, and I think we have a video about it as it just becomes history. This is how it went. I said this is how it went. There we go. Okay. So it's a historic building, let's just add to the story, because since this place exists and since SpaceX set foot in here, this place is and going to be up until today's moment, because it's no more. It's never, ever, ever. So yeah, it will be dearly missed.
Yeah, that was the very first building, actually, even when there was no Starbase at all. So that was quite a famous building, but yeah, game over and rest in pieces, as they say.
Yep. Just rest in peace. It's just...
I know, but it was a joke, rest in pieces.
All pieces.
So it was eaten, let's say eaten with the excavators just in a couple of days. So this entire demolition was about 2 days on the weekend, and that was all. Yeah. So game over for this building, and high bay was is started to deconstructed as well. And of course, the roof is already gone, and the bridge can is already gone, and they just started to remove these big parts of these big panels. So yeah, rumor had it that they will just how it doesn't they don't call it they don't call it blowing up, but how this is controlled.
Deconstructing it, just
Okay, well,
taking off bit by bit,
yeah,
piece by
yeah.
piece.
So it will be a human way how to deconstruct this building and not just blowing up.
You
So
can see it on the live camera that actually now you can now you can see through. It's poor
yeah, it's
building.
quite strange, this pattern.
Yeah, and and that's an oldie. That's an old building as well. By the way, this is the morning rush, isn't it? I can see so many cars on the roads. I
Yeah,
just spotted them.
yeah.
So yeah, so this is one of the early buildings again. I
Mm.
mean, not the oldest, but after the low bay and mid bay, this was the first proper large building at Starbase.
Yeah, the silhouette of the high bay was played or played a big role in the early
Absolutely.
days of the Starbase when
That's
they reached the development phase of the whole
yeah.
Starship program, because it was parallel. It was gone parallel. So the Starship program or the prototype development and the buildings, how they constructed the prototypes. And when they had the full size second stages, of course they needed this high bay. But since the second stages will be even bigger, and of course they have to go for the mass production, the high bay wasn't enough anymore, and that's why it has to go. And
But
on it,
definitely, it's a birthplace of so many historic
oh
vehicles.
yes, and some strange happenings. If you remember the leaning of the SN9.
SN9, yep, yep, the
So
drunken one, the
the
drunk.
high bay saw a lot of things. But yeah, the days are counted, so it's now under deconstruction.
Hi chat, thanks for being active, and hi everybody who just joined our live stream. There are some questions that why do we know why they cutting some holes in the structure?
I don't know at
Have
all.
that's I guess this is I mean as they remove the panels. I mean, there's a strange pattern you can see. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember to this kind of view when they were building it.
No, no,
So
no. It's quite strange. So
yeah, I don't know.
maybe it's for mass saving, or I totally don't know, and I don't want to
No idea.
guess.
Yeah, no. We just don't know.
But we can go on.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Right. We spotted some prototypes. So we urge you to watch the full episode from Friday from Felix, but we are going to spoiler if you have not seen the episode, because we have seen some previously under construction ships. If we get back the photos, please. Then we will show you ship 36, which is it looks interesting for sure.
It's
I
not
think we can
finished.
say that.
We can be sure about it.
Yep, it's
It's not.
definitely black and white.
Yeah, it's quite strange. Of course, it's the insulation and ablative layer, and on these layers will come the heat tiles themselves. But yeah, it's quite in the early stage of the heat tile, or better to say the
Tiling.
heat or the heat covering system, or yeah, I don't know how to call it.
The application.
Yeah, and you can see there are no F flaps yet, and yeah, it's still quite
It's
in
under
the early
construction.
phase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we posted sheep 38.
Hmm.
You can see this is the nose cone with the flap. I don't see the other flap. It's just one flap, I
Yeah, it's
think.
not installed yet, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Maybe the
And then,
hinges are there already.
yep, and then we can see ship 39. That's a completely clean nose cone. And then well, there was some spotting of ship 40. And ship 40, it seems like it has its unique story because ship 40 looks like this is going to be the very, very, very first ship block 3, right? Sorry,
Yeah, and
sorry. No,
it's
no, no. 39. Sorry, 39. 39. No, no, no.
mhm.
It's not 40. Hold on. There's some confusion. There is 40, but 39 is going to be the first V3. So the block 3. Sorry.
Yeah, to be honest, for me it's quite early, so maybe they want to run before they start to
It's
start
5 in
to
the afternoon,
stepping.
bro.
Yeah, so I mean that if you are think about that's this ship 35 will have this flight 9 second stage, then if we are thinking about that's these current ships, so I don't know until when, but that we can be sure that they won't be caught at least for some time. And if we are thinking about the ship 39 as the first block 3 version, maybe it's a bit early, but it's just my thinking.
Well, that's what it says. That's what we
Okay,
can
and
say.
of
I don't know
course,
if it's not correct, then it's not.
of course, but we saw a couple of times in the past that SpaceX changed its mind or
But
the
but Elon,
plans.
but we do know that Elon was speculating that there is a plan for change quite
Yeah,
immediately
there are
from
some
block 2 to
plans,
block 3. Yeah.
but
So
until
it's
the
not
block
like
2 is not working, maybe they don't want to change or switch to block 3. But of course, the time will answer this question.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And on the other hand, as far as I know, for example, the HLS versions of the starships will use the Block 2 versions as well. So maybe they will implement the Block 3 versions. However, in parallel, in the background, they will be construct still the Block 2 versions for the HLS version. But maybe they have changed their mind, and the HLS will be Block 3 version as well, but I haven't seen any news about it, so that's why I'm unsure about it. So yeah,
That's
so
clearly in the
there are
Friday episode. This is exactly what Felix is talking about, the block 3 version, and he actually goes on and showing quite a few
it can be, of course, yeah.
photos about it and how tall is it going to be compared to the block 2 versions, and what's the capability is going to be from 100 to 200 tons. It's gonna use the block 3 version of Raptor engines. It's gonna have 6. I mean, we've seen this coming for a while, but he's kind of not taking it for granted, but definitely there is a reason why he's mentioning all these informations. We will see, obviously. I
Of
mean,
course, as always, time will tell.
yeah, and there is a big possibility that they're gonna do a parallel development, but that's definitely gonna be such a huge vehicle. I mean, 150 meters planned.
Yeah, if
We will
they
see how. Yeah,
if they stuck to the currently known and the public information.
yep.
But yeah, that's what we have seen last February when Elon just held his last update presentation. But maybe in the meantime it could have been changed. So that's why I'm not sure that it will be totally the same as we have seen in this last episode. But I don't want to argue with Felix or with the Y team. I'm just thinking a bit out loud that maybe it won't be totally the same as what we can see here. So
Yep,
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
but yeah,
Actually,
exciting
saying in
times.
the Ekid is saying in the chat that they may want to start testing with Block 3 while they still building Block 2 for actual productive work. The question is, can Booster V1 lift Block 3 ships, or it is just so heavy that it needs the version 2, the Block 2 version of Booster? I think it's 100% sure that the Block
Mm.
1 Booster cannot lift the Block 3 ship. It's just too much.
Yeah. That I agree with that. It's too weak
And as
for the Block 3 version of the ship.
yeah, and as you were saying, I mean, if that's true, and why would it not be, that for the HLS they are going to use the Block 2 version, then definitely they don't have a finished job in here. They definitely need to proceed and with sort of making it working, because at the moment it's not, as we know, Flight 7 and Flight 8 did not was the proof of the pudding. So yeah.
Yeah, the pudding was
So
rotten, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, but
yeah.
yeah, maybe the Flight 9 will be much more successful than the previous ones. And
And just one more thought.
yeah,
Kal-El is saying maybe they are making a 3D chess for set for Elon with the high bay.
it can be.
That's cool. Okay. Right. Let's probably move on.
Yeah,
Do
we
you have
can turn
anything
our
you wanna-
attention to the launch site, maybe.
Okay. Let's see what.
Yeah, sorry. Once we are here, still on the production side, just for one sentence about the ship 35, because maybe everyone expected to be the next prototype to be rolled out to the masses, and instead of S35 was the booster 17, as we have seen previously that it was rolled out. And it's quite strange because the ship 35 had so many work on it already, and we don't know. So there are no information what are they doing currently with it. But it's under it's so the ship 35 it's still under preparation to be rolled out for the static fire. So we I wish we could just have a look into the Megabait 2 what's going on, but unfortunately we can't. So
Somebody needs to
we have to be
install a
patient.
camera there. Yeah, somebody needs to
Yeah.
install a sneak peek. Well, that would live for one day, and then that's it, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, about the Flight 9, that's why we have to wait as well until the booster and the ship has its static fire and of course the last preparation work. But I guess we can say goodbye for any flight in April and even in the beginning of May maybe. So yeah, we have to wait some weeks until we can see again a Starship flying. Anyway,
Just one more photo before, yeah, because I forgot. So I'm glad that we stayed a little while. Starbase is looking stunning. I think it would be so nice to go back at some point in the future for us. We've been once there, 2022. It changed so much. It's none of these were there. So when we were there, so this is already very clean and very rocket factory like look. So one day probably.
yeah, we couldn't recognize that thing.
Well,
Almost.
maybe a thing, but that's it. Or two.
Maybe just ship 20 because that's the only thing what was already there when we have been there. So yeah. Okay, so going to the launch site, there are a lot of things happening around it or around there. So of course they use the time between Flight 8 and Flight 9, and they are going forward with big steps, or huge steps, better to say. And the Pad B construction is taking shape even better and better. And they just putting like Lego blocks putting together, and the speed of the or the pace is like we would play with Lego blocks at home. So the pace is totally insane. How everything is coming along and coming. going it on its path. So yeah, they have rolled out, or they just transferred the two big pieces, the flame buckets, so the two halves of it on weekend,
Um,
and they have installed them already. So
before
in
before
30.
we before we touch that, so first they
Okay.
put the centerpiece. Let's go bit
Oh
by bit.
yes. So they call it as ridge. So that's the central part which is connecting the two halves. What we will see very soon. So it's the center part of the whole flame trench itself, and it has separated water cooling system with separated water cooling pipes, and but it holds everything together. So it's a quite important piece of the whole flame trench itself. And yeah, that was the first part which was installed in the last couple of days, and then that happened. So that's the first half of the bucket. That's the bottom part of the flame trench itself. So that's the cooling system, the cooling pipes, um, and they will run water through them, and it will vaporize actually everything. So what we have to be vaporized. So that was the first half to be installed, and just after a couple of hours, what we will see on the second video, the second half was installed. That's why I was talking about the pace, the incredible pace, how they installed this quite big of pieces of the flame trench. So like a puzzle, it was it was put everything together.
Yep.
So yeah, it was quite interesting to see, because we haven't seen before, of course, in case of the Pad A, because it was constructed a bit different way. But yeah, that's how let's say a normal and original, and yeah, in a normal flame trench, how to be built, and yeah,
Finally, I mean that was the
finally.
last time. To be honest, I mean they've done everything they could with Pele, but there is no surprise why they this time they actually decided to build a proper flame trench. One, it will hold longer. Hopefully, it can withstand better forces, larger forces, and also it can support the rapid reusability idea.
Mhm.
So,
Of
I
course, and
mean,
it's much more reliable compared to the Pad A. So
yep.
the way, or the how to say, the measurement, or the amount, the refurbishment work is it takes so much and so long in case of Pad A's. So it can't support frequently launches, and in terms of Pad B, it will be totally different.
Hmm.
And yeah, maybe one day they will reconstruct the Pad A as well, how the Pad B looks like. So of course, but first they have to put in working, or start to work with Pad A, and after it they can reconstruct the Pad A, if they have this plan.
Such an enormous work, actually. It's so hard to grasp how. I mean, so I think everybody who follows the Starship program week by week, it feels a bit slow because sometimes from week by week, it's not many things happening. But if you just miss it for a few weeks, sometimes, which we don't, but regular viewers might, then you just come back and you just notice that wow, they've done this, they've done that, they improved this, blah blah blah. So it's actually in terms of in so if you take a look at the industry, this goes way too fast,
Of
and
course.
it's not just here. You will see we're going to cover Florida because it seems like that they not stopping for 1 second. It looks like they're absolutely confident regarding to what exactly they are planning to do. with these. And yeah, as soon as they feel like this is the right construction, they go with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Florida is just a couple of months behind Pad B, so they are they are building currently two launch pads at the same time. It's quite interesting because there are, of course, there are no test details or test data at all in terms of Pad B or in case of Pad B. However, they started to reconstruct the 39A pad in Florida. So as you can see,
Yeah, I was just about to say this is not an early phase in Starbase. This is Florida.
yeah, right. So that's why I was saying that they are just a couple of months behind Pad B construction at the Starbase. So yeah, the flame trench contour, or how to say, it's already visible. So they will start soon the digging, and yeah, we will see this totally the same. Let's say pictures as at the Starbase. Of course, unfortunately, we can't see 24/7 footages from Florida, but yeah, these nice satellite photos show help us a bit.
Mhm. So
Okay,
that
so
just if somebody is not familiar with the site, this is 39A in the center. That's the historic launch pad. You can see the crew gantry, this white stripe. This is how they board usually the Falcon 9. This is the strong back, the transportation system for Falcon 9 rockets. Obviously, they roll from this on this track from the SpaceX hangar, and just right next to it, they have this new Starship Pad. Actually, there were some rumors in the past that this is a tad too close, just a little bit too close to 39A. And if we consider the forces, so if I'm thinking right, well, help me out. So the flame's gonna go this way and this way, right?
yeah, of
So they
course,
are, yep. I mean, yeah. I mean,
based on the direction of the flame trench. Yeah.
exactly. So they try to, I guess, because at the beginning, let's just remember that this was not the original idea. The original idea was a round shape,
Like Pad A.
type launch pad, and that goes all over the place. So
Yes. Yeah, it was a bit not maybe not the best plan. And when they started to see that, of course, that the Pad A is not the best solution of a launch pad, then they started to reconstruct this 39A pad as well.
yep.
So yeah, yeah, lively turn there, and it's nice to see. And yeah, but turning our attention back to the Starbase,
Shall
yeah, the
we finish
chopsticks.
let's
Um,
just finish the Florida bit because there's just one more
okay.
photo we need to show, and then we can put a tick mark on a check mark next to Florida.
Yes. So
So yeah.
it's so not only the launchpad looks like the same as what we have seen on the Starbase, but the launchpad itself, or the launch mount. So yeah, at the Starbase they started to build this enormous rectangular piece. I don't know, almost 1 year, or maybe 3/4 of a year. I'm not sure anymore. But yeah, they started to build this launch pad at Florida as well. So it's quite nice to see that, again, without any test details or test data, they started to build the second one.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that it's a very detailed work, and it's they work around the clock, I guess. So even in the nights to pick up the pace, because once they have the details or the data, they can start to build the third, the fourth, and the fifth one maybe for the new Florida pads, because as we all know, the 39A launch pad won't be the only one at Florida, but they will have, I don't know, 8 or 9 launch pads
Many.
totally. So many. And of course, it takes time to build these launch pads. And yeah, it's nice to see that they are working in parallel with the Starbase team.
But there's definitely such a commitment. I mean, there is no hesitation in here. What we see, I mean, they not gonna. I mean, they're not waiting at all to see if this works at Starbase, because the original idea is that what's going on at Starbase, that's gonna be the test bed, the prototypes, and then they are going to implement those experiences, all those data, all those hardwares to Florida. But that's not what we see here anymore. What we see here is that they are building the Pad B here at Starbase, and in parallel, they're already copying the same thing in Florida. So there's no testing here. They just going for it. So
Yes.
that's pretty cool. That's commitment.
Yeah, and I don't want to roast anybody else in the industry, and I don't want to name
Why not?
anyone.
Why not? Why we don't need to be always this, this we're not gonna say anything. If they're doing something very well and others don't, why can't we call them out? I mean,
Because I could say the entire industry except SpaceX.
do you want me to say it?
So I could.
I'm more than happy to.
I could list some companies who are working a bit less.
Look,
phase.
at least I could say something nice, because I've been bashing SpaceX in the past a few episodes, and I was always the vocal one when I was really not happy with the Flight 7 and Flight 8 and the direction and the future plans and all these things. So I think when it deserves the bashing, we should do it, but whatever, they deserve the highlight of their strength, and this is their strength. The pace they can actually do these things, the developments and the prototyping, I think they deserve full credit for that.
Yeah, of course they follow a totally different way, like anybody else in the industry.
Absolutely.
And it's nice to see, because we can compare 2 or 3 different ways how to develop a rocket. Of course, Starship is hard to compare to everything else or anything else, because it's the biggest, the strongest, I don't know, they have the maximum size
The
of
most powerful.
the
Yep.
most powerful, and so I could list even more.
Fully reusable and so on
Yeah,
and so forth. Yeah,
so
everything. Yeah.
we could be sitting here until the morning when
No,
we
the
finish
list
the
is
list.
not
Oh,
that long,
okay,
but
okay.
till 7
So
in the evening.
so yeah, but yeah, they have to rush, because if they want to have the Mars travels or Mars transportation flights, or even the first Mars travel without, of course, uncrewed flight to the Mars, they have to be rushed, because for this one, or even for the moon flights, they will need at least one launch per week, or even a faster pace. So until they are not finished with the Pad A and 39A, of course they can dreaming on it, but it won't be real. And that's why they are pushing it very hard currently. And finally, the weather is helpful, because the January and the February was quite.
Miserable.
Miserable, yeah. So at least they can now progress quite well.
Absolutely.
All right, and of course, not only the Launchpad is taking shape, but the new stage 0 parts, so the pipe system and the pipe, not pipes, and the, how to say, the turbo pumps, not the turbo pumps, it's interrupters, but the pumps. And they construct and installing quite a lot of things. It's hard to follow, but of course everything is going in the behind the scenes, but it's still it's a very big progress with these parts. All right, so what else? Yeah, the chopsticks, they are open. They had the first tests with it, with the full height, for the first full height tests, and yeah, it's currently waiting for this how to say it, with this nice water balloons. These how to say it in English? What kind of tests are these? These strength, not strength test. I don't know it in English. Sorry now.
The weight test. Yeah, they put some forces on the chopsticks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
say it the way you know.
I don't know in any way. So
Yeah, they're gonna test the weightlifting capability of the
yeah,
chopsticks. They usually, it's like there
loading
there are
test.
these
Yeah, loading test.
there are these birds which has this puffy red chest, if you remember, and they can bloat it up. It looks like, so many, this type of birds is just underneath the chopstick and it all bloat. But other people compare it to other things, but we're not going to that territory at all. Weight loading tests, yep. Mass simulator tests. Thank you, Chet. Thank you. You're helping us out here.
Yeah, bear with
Poor
us. It's not.
Europeans.
It's our second language, so
Yeah. Yeah, so they're gonna do those tests soon.
yeah.
Sadly, we are not anywhere close to actually seeing the landing of a second stage, because at some point there were those rumors that they are going to see some ship landing here before the pad, the launch pad, is actually going to be ready. But nay, that's not gonna happen. Sadly.
Yeah, so actually the construction following these plans, and I guess the Pad B will be totally ready until we can see the first Starship catch attempt. Of course, when even if the Flight 7 was successful, maybe we could see the first catching attempt even before the Pad B is ready, but it's out of the questions already. So
what actually do you suspect, if let's just assume that Flight 9 is a success? Do you think that they're gonna attempt to land it for Flight 10, or they're gonna do one more flight just to stay in the safe side, and then they are going to try to land it?
good question. On one hand, it depends which prototypes will fly on Flight 10. So of course the readiness, hardware readiness, and yeah, how careful are they? So because of course, as we all know, if they want to catch the ship, it has to go around the Earth, so it has to be put on orbital flight or orbital trajectory. So it means that the Flight 9 has to be 100% successful, even with the Raptor ignition test, and even with everything, with the heat tiles and the heat shield system. So I don't think so. The first ship catch attempt will be on Flight 10, maybe on Flight 11 or 12.
No, yeah, okay. So not the next one, then you. Okay, so you think is okay. Yeah,
Because
I
too
resonate with that. Yeah,
many
it's just
things
too
has
much
to be
information.
proven.
Absolutely, one flight is just gonna prove that it's not blowing up anymore.
Yeah,
But
yes.
that's probably not enough, because that can be a lucky launch. But yeah, I assume that they're gonna do another one. Well, okay, so Flight 9 is definitely, as you were saying, that's a suborbital one. So Flight 10 is going to be an orbital, but I don't think that they are going to. Well, I mean, it's SpaceX. They might.
And of course, a big question is the launch license, because if they want to change from suborbital flights to orbital flights, of course they need an entire new launch license from the FAA, and yeah, we know in the past it wasn't the fastest procedure. But maybe with the new administration, they will rush the FAA to have or issue this launch license even faster as previously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, first let's see the Flight 9 and how the outcomes coming through, and yeah, then we can talk about with a bit more confidence what can be expect on Flight 10 and so far so on.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that it happened this way. I mean, obviously that the new Block 2 just brought some issues to the surface, so that's good, that bit. But they had quite a good confidence in improving the ships, and they were having really good successes, and there was a big chance that it's doing so well that around Flight 9 they're already gonna try to catch a ship as well, but it just kind of slipped a bit with these stumbling that is going on right now. But
Yeah,
that's
and
the way the cookie crumbles. That's it.
and of course, the other big question mark is the Artemis program, because of course NASA needs the HLS version pretty much. So, and until they don't have on one hand the pace, so again at least the 1 launch per week pace, and on the other hand they have to have the reliable second stages as well. Of course, I know the HLS version is totally different compared to the current versions of the ship, but still they have to be confident in each and every launches, and until they don't have the pace for the tankers, they can't do the even the first demo flight to the moon. And yeah, again, it depends which block version of the EHLS gonna have, because if they changed their mind and the HLS will be the block 3 version as well, then it raises other questions. But if the HLS will be still the block 2, of course it has to be very reliable, so it's very hard to tell when the first demo flight can be happen to the moon. And after the first flight, I don't know, but maybe if I remember correctly, at least half a year has to pass until the Artemis 3, which will be the first demo flight with crew, actually. So that's why it's very very hard to tell when Artemis 3 gonna happen. But yeah, until the Block 2 version is not reliable, then we can't expect anything, or just very hard to expect.
So help me out. So how tall the ship, the Block 3 ship is going to be?
If the plans are still what we
Yeah,
have
let's
seen,
assume that. Yeah,
then it's about 70 meters.
70 meters. So there's
Only the second
already,
stage.
yeah, the second stage. So there are already a lot of, how can I say, voices in the community that this kind of construction is not really something that's ideal for the moon, let's say. And especially Artemis is aiming to the polar region, and I know that it's been talked about the intuitive missions, and how Firefly successfully landed their Blue Ghost lander, but somehow Intuitive Machine does not. And it's just one thing that it's a tall vehicle that they failed to land the second time. What is the guarantee that it cannot happen to the ship? And it's so easy to topple over for this kind of machines. I think there's a lot of questions regarding to it's going to land towards the polar region, which is it's everything but not a flat terrain.
Not at all.
So just to taking to this area such a large vehicle, such a tall vehicle, I would say, we don't see the leg construction. Even the leg is spreading really wide. It's so tall. The center of mass is just, yeah. I don't know. I to think about it more, and I'm not even assuming that I cannot think about it that this is going to be the Block 3 version. 50 meters is already very tall, not 70 to the
Yeah, that's
moon.
right.
I don't think that's ever gonna happen, to be honest. And even with these ones, I mean, NASA accepted it, so they're kind of going for it. But SpaceX definitely need to come up with some really sturdy, solid leg construction, because otherwise, this is just plain dangerous.
Yeah, and of course they have to test the let's say the thrusters. So these smaller Raptors, as they call it, because it will be a different version of the Raptors, which will be built
I
in
mean, on the
the
top.
hull. So under the nose cone, where these
Yeah,
gray
yep.
stripes are. So that's the place where these Raptor thrusters will be built in. Of course, they won't use the main engines, because otherwise the entire moon would be destroyed almost. So because of the thrust of the Raptors, so they will use these smaller thrusters, and of course it has to be tested again. And as we know, maybe they started to test it at McGregor, but it's totally not the same, like built in a Starship and put everything together in one system, or just testing it separately as one thruster at the test pad. So
Yep.
that's why we are so not confident with this Artemis 3 date. And yeah, there are lots of questions still. And if the Block 2 version would work already, then we could answer a lot of questions, but still it's not working, and that's the biggest problem. And until the SpaceX can't flight the Starships frequently, at least I don't know, in every 3 or 4 weeks, let's say, then they don't have the data, and they can't replicate it, of course, in any simulations, or even if they can replicate, it's not the same as a test flight. So that's why they are rushing again. I can just say again what we are talking about: the Pad B and the 39A, and maybe they will start again a new Florida test site, or a launch complex, sorry. But first they have to at least these two entirely new pads, launch pads, and after they can reconstruct the Pad A. And if they have these three pads, then we can talk about the frequent launches.
And let's be honest, this is at the moment, this is not about the pads. At the moment, it's about ship construction, and because it looks like the boosters, they are coming nicely together. They are just about to refly the first booster. If that works out, I mean, there is no guarantee that the Block 2 will work, and they don't have similar issues with the Block 2 booster than when they changed from Block 1 ship to Block 2 ship. So there is always a possibility of a failure when they have a generation change. But let's be frank, at the moment, they are lacking the production capability. We don't know that it's because there are uncertainties about the design and it doesn't work, and that's why they don't want to ramp up the production, or they just not there yet. They're just not able to build them fast enough. But if they don't make that happen, it's just not gonna happen again. And just one more thing regarding to this photograph, let's not forget that this vehicle here is going to use methane, so liquid propellant, for landing as well, and that's fundamentally different to what historically companies, or I would say agencies, used for vehicles landing on the moon. Probably the exception was which one of the two had methane filled in? Is it Intuitive Machines or
No, Blue
Firefly?
Ghost.
It was
The
Blue Ghost. Yeah.
Blue Ghost uses methane
But
as
I don't
well.
know. Yeah, but I don't know. That's for landing as well. Yeah, landing. Obviously,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the main engine. So that was kind of a breakthrough that they used liquid propellant as well. With hypergolics, you don't have the problem. You have two components. You put them together and they combust. With these ones, if the ignition is not really happening, or they have some issues, then you're not coming home. So yeah, that's even Destin from Smarter Every Day was talking about this kind of issues, and he was calling it out. So yeah, big shots, big names are talking about these aspects, which is great because I think it requires huge scrutiny and different approaches. So yeah, I guess it's fascinating to see, to be honest. That's my opinion. We are
For
gifted.
us, yeah, for the
Absolutely.
enthusiasts like us, it's quite nice to see that the race for the moon is taking shape, or it's even closer and closer. I mean, the US and the China race, because China is knocking at the door already.
China.
So that's why NASA and SpaceX has to rush themselves to make it happen before China puts their flag to the moon, polar region of the moon, south polar region, because they don't want to wave their hands back for the Chinese when they are already at the at the moon, or on the moon. Sorry. So yeah, these next couple of months will be very important to the SpaceX Starship program, and even for NASA. So
Yep.
yeah, we'll see.
Yep. Even Waterman, hi. He's saying Intuitive Machines 1 and 2 failed because they were moving sideways when they touched down, not because they were tall. Yes, absolutely, that's correct. I did not want to suggest that they toppled over because they were tall, but let's add to the fact that being tall is not really helping the issue. Even if you are just traveling mildly sideways, and you're not descending like straight down, then it's the shape of the building is not helping you whatsoever, especially on a very hilly, mountainy area than the polar region. And the polar region gonna be tough anyway, not with this kind of build
Design.
machines or yeah, thank you. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible because NASA accepted it, so who am I to call it out? Okay, but definitely bigger shots than I am is calling it out. So probably they can compensate it with proper legs, I guess, but we have not seen a shred of evidence of them building them. But that's just one thing. They don't share everything, despite SpaceX is being absolutely transparent. So, as always, we are going to look for information. In the meantime, we definitely suggest you to follow the What About It channel. Tuesdays and Fridays, Felix is always bringing you the latest and best from the world regarding to Starship, and lately from all over the world regarding to other companies and agencies. Yeah, David,
Yeah,
anything else you want to add?
yeah. At least there are some news from anyone else, not only from SpaceX and NASA, and it's good.
Yep. Yeah,
It's a good
definitely.
thing.
Oh, definitely. Europe is waking up.
Good
Um,
morning, Europe.
Well, exactly. India is quite active, so yeah. China, the Chinese are doing amazing. Um,
They
yeah,
are not. They are
sales.
just not transparent. That's why it's hard to hard to tell
Exactly,
the story about them.
exactly. And for the final words, there's an interesting. Not, I'm not saying good, but definitely an interesting sort of motion is happening in the world, especially now that there is a budget cut, it looks like, regarding to the
yes.
science missions at NASA. It looks like, from here, at least from Europe, that America is handing over a little bit of the scientific sort of leading of the world to other nations, China. China. So somebody, and that's not great. That's not great at all. We were very happy to see Jared Isaacman's hearing at the Capitol Congress. So the
As a
congressional
Congress
hearing.
person, yeah.
Yeah, so that was great. That was uplifting to hear his views. We are really looking forward him becoming the new NASA administrator, and that was Olivia Trusty, I think. She's gonna be a member of the FCC. So two really bright minds, and it was really nice to see the two former crewmates of Isaacman sitting on one side, and then the Artemis 2 crew is on the other side. So it's a huge momentum behind Isaacman. I just hope that he will have the funding as well, and they're not going to sacrifice science over going to Moon and Mars. Hopefully, there's both, room for both, but we will see. Okay, but one thing is 100% sure: next week we are coming back for another talk. So thanks for tuning us, almost 100 of you.
I'm not sure because it will be Easter, so we will talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. What about it? Okay. Probably, yeah. It's because of I completely forgot about it. It's Easter Monday.
It just
We'll
came in
talk
my mind
about
as
it.
well.
Yep. We'll chat about it, and definitely we'll come back. But Tuesdays, Fridays episodes are, I guess, they are unstoppable. So definitely tune your attention to that. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do that and hit the like button. Have a lovely week, guys. Thanks for tuning here. Space Junkie signing off. We'll see you at some point. Have a lovely week. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Have a nice day. Bye bye.